welcoming Mike J, not to be confused with our own Method Mike. He is a potential new member of All Sports. We're going to hear more about him, what he thinks of our league, and answer any questions he may still have on it. The hope here is that he does in fact join up and is relatable to others also considering it. Okay, so I know you already, from the limited I already talked to you, you said that you didn't really play you didn't play any sports as a kid. You didn't really watch much of sports as a kid. Can you go into detail about that?
Yeah, so growing up in the 80s and 90s, my childhood was like almost any stereotypical of 80s movie. It was rough. If you weren't athletic, especially in the high school I went to, you're either on the jock side or, the other side where the kids weren't good at sports. And I was not good at sports. So I got more into music and whatnot, and I was in the drum line in high school. So I attended all the high school football games, but the funniest thing is I was more concentrated on playing the drums that I wasn't really even bothering watching football games and pretty much didn't even understand the game itself that much, other than I know there was touchdowns and field goals. So that sort of kind of changed as I got older, kind of stopped playing the drums. And then as I got into college or whatnot, I made more friends that kind of liked sports. The whole mantra of, the high school, the jocks and everything kind of went out the window as you get older.
Right. Yeah.
So then I started understanding and learning football better. And then one of my friends introduced me to fantasy football, and then that took a whole new turn for me because it was a way to get involved with the game without actually playing the game. So then I learned to appreciate the game better, understood all the rules, understood the stats, and it made you feel like a part of it every Sunday. And then, as you understood football, then all of a sudden college football got more interesting. So, and then from that, I just started taking the time to understand other sports. Hockey, I mean, everybody knows how baseball works, but baseball's kind of boring.
It is kind of boring.
Learning soccer and everything like that. So once I understood it and, the fantasy helped, get involved with it, it became so much more fascinating to me. So now I have SportsCenter on anytime there's not a game on. And if there's a game on, I'm trying to watch it. So it's kind of funny how it evolved. If you would have talked to 16-year-old me, he would not even recognize the person I am now. He's like, who are you? So
I think that's how most people are. Like most people don't really grow up until they're in their 20s anyway. I mean, the early part of your life, you can't really. Your life doesn't begin until the 20s.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no. So basically, growing up in Pittsburgh, you have to be a Steelers fan. Penguins are huge.
Right.
Pirates, Bob still the team. Like, let's be honest, like it's just a joke anymore. But
right.
Yeah, I mean, in a sports town like this, you pretty much are going to be in tune with it. It's just a part of the city, so it's kind of cool to feel part of that. Like when I went on a honeymoon down in Cancun. Like the locals down there, and they ask where you're from, you say Pittsburgh, the first thing they say is Steelers. So It's a worldwide known thing. So it's always cool when you travel, when you say where you're from, immediately they connect you to the Steelers. Sometimes the Penguins or something like that, but it's always the Steelers. So growing up in this town, it's neat to have that badge of honor, so to say, that you can go anywhere in the country. Except Philadelphia. You're a proud Steelers fan, so.
Right. Yeah, I agree. And then, especially, the Steelers thing's always kind of the thing with me because growing up, I was more of a Penguins fan than I was a Steelers fan. So anytime I go someplace, I mention Pittsburgh, they're like Steelers, and I'm like, no, Penguins. But, I still watch football a little bit now. If you had to give me like a top three, like which ones you like the best, how would you go with that? Yeah, Sportsline.
So that's it. For football, hands down, number one.
Okay.
I liked hockey pretty much. I hated football when I was younger because of all the football jocks and everything giving me crap in high school. So I just never really got into that sport. Hockey, I was in the middle of the line with. I played some deck hockey. my dad took me a few Penguin games. I got to see Lemieux play in his heyday.
Wow, that's good.
So yeah, I understood. I was at the old Civic Arena and everything. I remember that
Yeah.
crap hole, but yeah, that old stadium. But I genuinely really like hockey a lot. When the Penguins play, if they're on, I will watch them anytime I could. As a kid, it was hard, and I don't know if you can attest this. Did you grow up in Pittsburgh yourself?
Well, it's same as like John, like South Pittsburgh, like Greensburg area.
Okay, yeah. Then I don't know if it was the same for you, but it was hard back then. Like there's not like cable and streaming and all that stuff back in the 80s, 90s, but it was always hard to find a Penguins game on TV.
Yeah. We had one of those old satellite dishes, the giant ones that you had in your backyard. Yeah.
Didn't have that. I had 12 channels.
Right. But yeah, we didn't get it. We had trouble watching that too.
HBO, so. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I liked Penguins and hockey, but it was hard to watch the games and it was hard to follow. We didn't get a regular newspaper, so it was really hard to kind of follow what was going on with them. So unlike football, which was on all the prime stations, you could see that everywhere. Hockey was really hard to find, so to say. So right. I genuinely do like that. I've taken my son to several games. It was really cool. He's been to 4 games, and Sidney Crosby scored in every single one, which is his favorite player. So that was really cool.
Yeah, of course.
To enjoy that. And then I'd say my third one, honestly, right now, is soccer, to be honest with you, which is
interesting.
Strangely odd, because a little bit of background of that. So I have 2 kids. One's 14 and one's 13 now. I coached both of them when they were younger. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know anything about soccer. But as I started learning more, when, these kids are doing like pee-wee soccer and everything like that, the game's not too much different than hockey. And I understood hockey. So after I started equating the rules to that, I started understanding soccer more and appreciating the game. So now my daughter is in cup soccer. My son's following my steps and playing the drums, but my daughter is literally in Erie right now playing a cup game in about a half hour or so. But she is really, really good at it, and we're really involved with it. So it's a huge part of our lives right now. So I appreciate and love that game more now and understand it. I'm actually even on the local soccer board. And, 10 years ago, I didn't know anything about soccer. I just knew that it was a low scoring game and it was on forever. Like the game, there was no commercial breaks. The clock never stops. So, so strangely enough, I love watching soccer games. I really don't even care what team's on there. And since my daughter's so big into it, we actually prefer watching women's soccer more than men's because they actually play the game more, unlike men who are always looking for penalties and fouls. And
really, that's interesting.
Yeah, it even like the WNBA with Caitlin Clark and everything, because my daughter plays basketball too. She plays every sport. It's so much more fun to watch now. It's just it was an underappreciated league, and now it's huge because of one player. And my daughter loves Caitlin Clark, so.
Well, we're based here in Indiana, so of course we know her pretty well.
How it evolved. Like I love the World Cup and everything like that. That's big for us. So.
What's great about being a fan of soccer is if you're ever in a conversation with people that are like you're from Europe or even Central America, you have an instant conversation starter because they're so into it.
Yeah, it's everywhere. Like that's the one sport outside of America that you could literally talk to any individual about, and they have a team and they know everything about it.
Yeah.
It's a sport that the entire world knows. It's fascinating just how big a game is of just kicking a ball around trying to get in it. So.
Yeah, my wife's actually a Latina, so whenever I first met her, after the first, I don't know, couple of months, I think the World Cup was going on, and I saw sitting next to her, and she's like, "We gotta watch this. We gotta watch this." It's like, okay. And then she was just so into it. Like I was amazed at how much they're into the soccer.
Yeah, I remember my daughter. It was when USA won the World Cup when Rapinoe scored the penalty kick against the Netherlands, I think, to win it. Whatever that year was, she had the purple hair, and I remember my daughter sitting there just like in awe of Megan Rapinoe. So my daughter's number is 15 for Megan Rapinoe. She's been wearing it for the past, I don't know how many years now. She dyed her hair purple one summer. It was funny, but like that was her hero. And just her sitting next to me as we're watching it, her just taking it in was a huge part of my life and a huge part of hers. And it was an awesome moment. So, I always think back and I thank soccer, and it's especially the women's soccer of having that moment and the connection that I have with her with sports now. So yeah, that's my number 3. So that's a big thing for us these days. So
That's awesome. Yeah, that's great. Um, then you mentioned like baseball is kind of boring. I agree. It's kind of boring to watch on TV. I think
yeah,
going to the
I
games
mean,
is a
when I
lot of
was a
fun.
kid, I like when you're a kid, you gone into certain things. I collected baseball cards for a while, and back then, like the Yankees were kind of like my team because they were good. Like we had the Pirates and they stunk, so I backed the team that I liked, and like Don Mattingly was my favorite player. And I remember I was in Chicago and visiting relatives, and we went to a White Sox game where they played the Yankees in the old Comiskey Park or whatever. It's torn down now, whatever that was. So, yeah, baseball itself, I think I only really kind of liked it for the nostalgia of the baseball card collecting and whatnot. But I mean, I appreciate the sport. I think it's players are way overpaid. There's no
Yeah.
salary cap, so I think the game is entirely not fair.
Yes, I agree.
And if the owner doesn't care,
Serious
about
problem.
money,
I agree. It's a big problem.
then your team doesn't have a shot. So the fairness of hockey and basketball and football with salary caps, I mean, besides the Cleveland Browns, I mean, any team could win. So it's pretty much,
Yeah.
yeah, a more balanced kind of sport. Like somebody could be in last place and then, like the Kansas City Chiefs stunk, 10 years ago, and now they're winning Super Bowls. And I don't know how much more going forward, but it's crazy how a team in like the NFL or the NHL can fluctuate and be the bottom feeders and then be the top, the cream of the crop. So
Yeah,
baseball, it's always the Yankees, it's always the Dodgers, it's
Yep.
whoever has the most amount of money. So
And then I don't know how much you watch the NBA, but don't discount that because until I moved out to Indiana, I was not into it hardly at all. Now it's my number 2. It's quickly become my number 2 because if you like hockey, it's just as fast paced, and that's the reason I like it. Like for me, baseball, like you said, boring. Football to me, more boring too, but it's not. It's not so much because of I mean, I can see why it's so popular because you can get together with your guys every Sunday, and there's gaps in between, so you can sit there and talk, and I get that. But like with sports, I like to be like really into it. And the other thing about basketball that I was kind of like, I thought they were always kind of like, pansy-ish until I watched some real NBA like playoff games. Those guys take quite a hit. So if you ever get a chance, or I don't know if you have, but give it a shot too.
I'm actually, here's where I'll go with you with basketball. College basketball, I could watch all season long.
There you go.
They play like it's 2 halves. Those kids are playing their hearts out every single game because you're basically fighting for a spot to be in the top 25. And let's be honest, you're fighting for a spot to be in the big dance. So I love college basketball in that fact because every single game during the regular season counts because you want to be in the big dance and you want to have a good seed.
Yeah.
And when it comes to the bracket and everything, I love doing the basketball brackets and I watch all the games and the March Madness and everything. NBA, I will agree with you playoff wise. Regular season to me, the games seem a little boring. I think just the players just don't care until the last 5 minutes. And then that's where they really put their hearts into it.
That might be true. I haven't watched a lot of regular season yet, so maybe you might be right about that.
Yeah, no, I was watching the playoffs when the Pacers and everything, because I can imagine that's your guys' team.
Oh, yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, so, I mean, that was exciting and it was fun to watch. Playoffs with the NBA are fun. That's when I feel like those guys really try to earn their paychecks and the games get more interesting. The regular season, I'll just kind of pay attention to the standings or whatnot. But only got so much time when you have kids and, we have crazy soccer schedules
Right.
and all
Yeah,
that
I
fun
get it.
stuff. So you can only dedicate so much time to here to there. So when the NBA finals kind of do kick in, there's not as much of other sports going on. So I do take advantage of that because you're getting into the winter months. So.
Especially when the Penguins have not been making the playoffs recently either, so that helps.
Exactly. So you have more time for that. The NFL is winded down. There's not, college basketball's in the middle of it. But yeah, the playoffs, I agree, are a lot more fun to watch.
And have you ever been to an NBA game? Those are fun too.
So we don't have an NBA team here, so I can't say I have. No.
Oh, okay.
I think they tried in Pittsburgh. It's weird for the city of Pittsburgh. It's like a failed sport here. I mean, we do have. I mean, Pitt was good for several years, so I mean, shortly. I mean, we're talking the Brandon Knight days and whatnot.
Well, now that I think about it, what is the closest NBA team?
Sweet 16. So I mean, basketball was kind of big, so to say, from a Pitt aspect, but this city itself is just not a basketball town. It just they tried to put a professional team here a while ago. It just never worked. I think there's been a few NBA games where they played in Pittsburgh, like the Cavs might play somebody here just as like a stint, and it doesn't really go over that well. So it's just an odd aspect for such a big sports town that we have. We just cannot incorporate basketball into it, and I don't know why. It is an odd thing. So
I was just trying to figure out where is the closest NBA team. You got to go pretty far now that I think about it.
Yeah, the Cavs would. So Cleveland's 2 hours away. I mean, Philly's further than that.
Yeah.
The 76ers on the other side.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's why you haven't
honestly, that's got to be it. But there's not even like, you're not really going to catch many people in Pittsburgh wearing a Cavaliers jersey.
Right.
It's just not it is such an odd thing, Doug. Like, I don't know why. I mean, we have all this sports, enthusiasm in this town, but when they ask somebody about basketball, they're like, yeah, pass. So, I don't know.
So what fantasy sports have you done before? I know you mentioned football already.
Yeah, football primarily. My brother-in-law dragged me into a fantasy baseball that I've done over the past 5-6 years. I honestly am not very good at that because that is such a very involved game, and that you have to change the players every day. Yeah, there's so many players and so many teams.
100%.
All positions. So I'm never really quite good with that because the players are ever changing. So it's hard to keep up with that. I have not tried hockey yet. My friend John, that you've already interviewed, keeps trying to get me to do that, but I heard that's quite as involved as well because you have games throughout the week. So primarily, honestly, football is my main thing because that I can easily track because you just got to make sure you have a decent lineup come Sunday, accounting for any Thursday night games. So that's my exposure to it, but I have been doing it since 2002 or 3, so 20 plus years of fantasy football, which is just utterly amazing that it's been that long. So
yeah, I totally get why fantasy football is so popular because of that. Especially compared to the other ones. It's so hard to do the baseball, like you said. I did that for 4 or 5 years. It's a lot. You got to be one of those guys that really likes to dig into the stats, or by a couple of months in or a couple of weeks in, you're already like gave up. Because it's just too much.
That's the thing. Yeah, you can't. So if you take football versus baseball in a fantasy perspective, if your quarterback's healthy, you just leave him in there and you don't even think about it. So if you had like a Jalen Hurts or Patrick Mahomes or Josh Allen, you just don't need to think about it anymore. Like when it comes to like fantasy baseball, you have several starting pitchers, which there could be injury depending on the rotation. How many pitchers are on the team that your pitcher is on? Just constantly swapping them out so you're getting the points in there. So yeah, I agree with you. It becomes utterly exhausting trying to keep up.
Especially if you're losing, right? Who wants to follow it if you're losing, right? Why are you going to bother doing all that if you're losing?
Right. So it's just so hard to keep up. And plus, not having that much interest in the game. Again, it's a rather cheap league, and I'm only in it because they needed somebody to fill in, and I just don't have the energy to tell my brother-in-law to pull me out of it.
Right.
Get that. I swear, every year I forget when the draft is, and I get auto-drafted because it's online, then I don't even know half the players that are on my team. Probably mostly three-quarters I don't even know, but it is what it is. But yeah, it's a very exhausting one. Fantasy football is a lot easier, and keeping up with the players because there's only so many players and so many teams, and games basically once a week. So that's a manageable task when you're a parent and trying to balance everything else with work and everything like that. This is, you take an hour or so before 1 o'clock on a Sunday, make sure your lineups look good, and then you just hope for the best. So,
all right. So just hearing you talk about this, the league that we created, this owners league, is pretty much designed specifically for people like you and a lot of people like us, because you like to watch a lot of sports, but you don't want to put all the work into fantasy sports to do it. And that is exactly the way this was designed. It was designed to set up so that like you feel more like an owner to the league, and you're not like looking at players, and you're more of like just sitting back and watching to see how these teams are doing, and not so much about the day-to-day. It's all long-term strategic, and it's not about setting lineups day in, day out.